obviously we want to ask you a couple of questions, and let's see what you think. What your answers are going to be. So the first question we ask everybody is, what is your favourite game of all time, personally?
Yeah, so personally, it is a game that's an 18 certificate, and it is about, well, it looks like it's about shooting things, which is The Last of Us, which is widely well renowned. And for me, it was just some quite personal reasons, really. I just really connected to the story of Joel and Ellie, having a daughter myself of a similar age, and just felt like it was just a really beautiful way to study the kind of the evolving and the loosening of this kind of dysfunctional relationship into some sort of functional form, as you kind of, you go that sort of same territory as a parent. And it's been nice because now my daughter is 16. I finally convinced her to play it with me. She's like, oh, I'm not sure if I'm ready for that. We played Uncharted together. But she's like, okay, Dad, we'll play it. But if it's too scary, I'm going to stop. And I'm like, yeah, that's fine. Well, let's just see how it goes. And it's been really nice, actually, to play that through with her. So, and I can't wait. Obviously, Last of Us 2 is coming up.
I know. Exciting news, right?
I've got media blackout on that. I don't want to hear anything about it because I'm like, I'm going fresh. So
no, absolutely.
And she's now excited about that too.
How did she find? Because I suppose there's a lot of stuff in there that, which is quite interesting for a parent as well. There's a lot of things that you probably want to say to your child that you can't say, but a video or a movie or a book can say and speak to your child in that way, especially when they reach that age of maturity and they're able to kind of read between the lines.
Yeah, I think certainly a lot of the topics you'd want to know about beforehand. I wouldn't have wanted to go in fresh the first time with her, so knowing what was coming was quite helpful. But also because it's a game, she can, we take it in turns to play, but when she's playing, she can kind of choose how much to see or not to see. Like a lot of the dialogue happens while you're walking, and if you, as Joel, charge on ahead, you won't hear what Ellie's saying about her backstory and some of the stuff. And equally, when some harrowing stuff is happening, sometimes she'll look away so that Ellie isn't seeing that. So. Yeah.
Well, let's start with your favourite platform. So.
Yeah. So I do like the Switch because it has the ability to get a wide range of games into families' hands. So there used to be loads of games that were only on PC, only on Steam that I wanted to recommend. Like it's difficult for a family because setting up Steam is a whole nother world compared to having a console. So the Switch is good, but I still really like the Wii U. Firstly, because it's quite cheap now, but secondly, because of the range of games that are on it. And the games themselves are quite cheap secondhand. So I think for families, unless they want to play like the latest FIFA or like Fortnite or those online games where you're going to have a new console, I think the Wii U for about £100 is really good value.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the Wii U is a very understated console, and it came out the wrong time. It's such a shame. But no, I agree. Yeah. The Wii U, I think, is a great little platform. So
I'd like the Switch to have some of those features. Like, it's a shame you can't do a different thing on the screen to the TV.
Yeah, it is really frustrating because you would have thought that they would have been able to build that in, and that would have been one of the takeaways from the Wii U. I mean, that was the tablet element on the Wii U was genius. And the variety of gameplay that you could have, which was it's such a shame. It's a real shame. How did you get into gaming then, Andy? How did you kind of fall into gaming?
So I grew up around the time of sort of Commodore 64, Spectrum, Acorn Electron. I think my school actually got a BBC Micro.
Yeah, we had one as well.
No one else at the school was doing anything with it, and I was like, we could program this, and so we did a little program. It wasn't very complicated, but then the teacher was like, whoa, how did you do that? And I had this kind of really positive response from them and was like, I'm quite good at this sort of thing. And that led to like looking into programming and then getting my own computer, which I think was a Spectrum, typing in lots of programs from like magazines and stuff like that, and just kind of working through from the Spectrum. And then had a Commodore, and then had an Amiga for a long time, which is kind of where I guess it felt like games matured for me. It became more than just this little thing I did in the bedroom, and it was quite social, sharing games with other people. Sort of all the Amiga magazines I used to get, read the letters pages and write letters in, that kind of thing. And then I had a bit of a gap, I think, because the consoles weren't that big in the UK. After the Amiga, I didn't really track with anything until kind of PlayStation 1.
It was a weird time, wasn't it? Post kind of C64 and everything else, and Amiga, there was almost like a vacuum. I mean, I knew people that had Master Systems, and I knew people that had, you know, Nintendo systems and everything else, like NESs and everything else, but they were few and far between, and it's almost as if it hadn't really kicked off here. I think, and you're right. I mean, for me, in this, I mean, I wasn't here in the early 90s, but at that point we were getting things like the Mega Drive was starting to come out, and that's, for some reason, that picked up more. The Mega Drive and the SNES started kind of picking up, and it wasn't until the PlayStation 1 came out that everything, and I think it was the advertising campaigns. I think that's what it was. It was just such a bizarre thing to see a PS1.
It had that sort of buzz. I guess I tracked in the arcades in that time.
Yeah.
And then when the PlayStation came out, it's like, oh my gosh, this is an arcade game, like Ridge Racer.
Yeah.
This is an arcade game, and it's just as good, but it's on this home console. It was a really weird kind of transition. And then it was the GameCube, really. That's when I got back into it properly, playing. There was some like 4-player split screen games. Oh, Time Splitters.
Time Splitters, which was on the PlayStation as well, actually.
Yeah.
One of the best games.
And so I was.
And Mario Party made its debut, I think, on the GameCube, didn't it?
I think so. And Luigi's
Mansion
was a launch title. I haven't played it until more recently, and it was re-released. But I got to go with some friends. I couldn't afford it on my own, but we sort of chipped in together and had this GameCube. And then that meant we got together and played these 4-player games, which is still really good. And then I remember getting the Xbox and doing kind of like Xbox parties where we bring these big old TVs at the time, really heavy
CRTs. Yeah.
We'd have like a screen and an Xbox in each room hooked up to the network, and then we'd be playing Halo with like 4 on each console and in like little teams. And actually, you know, it's sort of multiplayer gaming that's hard to beat, really. I haven't really, you know, playing online isn't quite the same as hearing the other team howling because you've just shot them.
Yeah, getting really annoyed. There is that level, isn't there, that you can't kind of recreate, I think, but that's coming back in couch co-op stuff. We're seeing a lot more couch co-op games now coming back, and which is quite exciting. Yeah,
and I like the going back to Luigi's Mansion, the third one, the one that's on the Switch. You can play local co-op.
Yeah.
I think it's like 8 players on 4 systems. You do have to have obviously 4 systems and 4 copies of the game, which these days is, I guess, they're more expensive. It feels like that's going to be unlikely unless you get families together. But they're still, I'm glad they're providing that, where you've got multiple people each using their own screen but having a different experience of the game world, which I guess is what I was drawn to on the Wii U. So it's that kind of, you know, cooperating together, but everyone's got their different role.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, and then your favourite gaming moment. What was your favourite gaming moment of all time?
I think one of them, it was the first time I ever played Wii Sports.
Really?
Having kind of known video games, tracked with them, and been like, and then getting this console that had a lot of hype, and got it at launch, putting it in and picking up this controller and just being like, oh, this is completely different. This is this one-to-one weird kind of, it took me into another place. It felt like stepping into a new world. Much more, you know, it's similar, but I think more powerfully than VR, really. That motion control was much more effective. And it felt like it had there's much more of a reason to have it, and it was an experience you could share with other people. And I remember having the Wii, and like my boss at work calling me in and being like, oh, hey, you got a Wii. Well, perhaps you want to bring it in for lunch, because no one could get them. And they were like wanting me to bring this in so they could play it at lunchtime to see what this strange thing was. So that was a real kind of memorable moment, definitely.
No, absolutely. How long, I have to ask you, Andy, how long before you sat down bowling? How long was it before? Because it took me about a week, and I was like, I'm gonna sit down now. I can't do this anymore.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think it's got a fitness element, really. I was quite keen on the whole standing up, and I persevered with games like Tiger Woods and stuff. They were pretty good.
Well, they released with Tiger Woods, actually, with the golfing stuff. They then released a Wii U Plus or something that there was the 1-to-1. The end of the things, which actually made a huge difference, especially when you were playing. I don't know if you played Star Wars on the Wii, but
with the lightsaber,
with the lightsaber and the nunchuck for your kind of your force grab and stuff, which was amazing. But when that 1-to-1 motion kicked in, it changed the way in which some of these games were played, I thought, which was very interesting. Interesting.
And I'd like to see that on the Switch. I'm still waiting for the Wii Sports Switch package.
Yeah, because the controllers are there. Yeah, they're all there. They're all motion sensors.
It feels like they just don't want to make too much of an association with the Wii. They're a bit, they want to have a clean break. But hopefully, once now it's established,
Yeah.
we could have our Wii Sports. There's the table tennis game on Wii Sports Resort.
Oh, yes.
I've played it for thousands of hours. Me and my son go head to head, just the whole evening. In fact, that's one of the reasons I got the Wii U out again, was to go back and play the Wii game. So
amazing. And then, what's your most anticipated game of next year? Then, lots of great things coming out next year. What have you got kind of in the pipeline that you're looking forward to?
I mean, I think Last of Us 2 is hard to beat, but it's very hard to, because it's like a new Star Wars film. It's just past Star Wars, it will be exciting when you first play it, but whether it stands the test of time, we won't know for a year or two. Yeah. Like the first game. So I'm really excited about that.
Ellie doesn't go through a #MeToo movement.
We'll see what they do. I mean, I'd love there to be longer sections of the game where you're not shooting.
Yeah.
But I suspect they won't be able to do that. It's just not something that you're supposed to do as a developer. But that would be interesting. But I'm not often. I usually play games once they're a year or two old, actually.
Okay.
And so I'm not really tracking the sort of cutting edge games, because really, for families, whether what's new and hot kind of comes and goes. And
absolutely.
You don't know what stands the test of time for a couple of years, and so I'll recommend games like Overcooked.
Yes, great game. Yeah.
And there's a similar game to that I am looking forward to I think it's called Moving Day.
Right.
It's similar to that 4-player top-down Overcooked style, but you've got to work together to take furniture from a house into the moving van, and it's going to be like Tetris.
Yeah.
And also some bits are too heavy for you to carry on your own, so you have to get two people, and then you knock each other over. And so there's some of those kind of little games really that that I really like.
Amazing. Well, I suppose then the final question for you is probably more suited then. What was your best game of last year? Of 2018, yeah.
I have really enjoyed New Super Lucky's Tale.
It's brilliant, isn't it?
Yeah, really good. Look, I really love Mario games.
Yeah.
I loved Mario Odyssey, but because I've got limited time to play, they're often just too big.
Yeah.
There's just too much to them and I always feel like I'm just skirting the edge of them.
Yeah.
Whereas I guess because New Super Lucky's Tale is more of a limited budget, it's not as massive.
And it feels very Mario Galaxy, doesn't it?
Yeah, sort of more going backwards a bit, I guess, to that, and a bit more focus on story. But that same kind of variety. So each of the levels you play, you have a different perspective, or you have different stuff to do, and just really well delivered. So I've really enjoyed playing through that. Oh, and also Ori and the Blind Forest,
amazing
which again,
game.
It's been out for a while, but came to Switch this year. And I'm not, I'm not really a hardcore gamer, but I set myself to finish that game, which I managed to do. And it was lovely.
Beautiful game.
Really difficult platforming, but some really good, just beautiful. So I think anyone who sat with that for a while would get drawn into the story, as well as the platforming. Although again, it's a hard one to recommend to families because it is so hard, because the difficulty is really kind of up there. So you have to get that. Oh yeah, this is a platform game. It's supposed to make you shout because it's so bloody annoying sometimes.
Yeah.
That's part of it. But I found that although sometimes I got stuck for up towards maybe an hour, but if I persevered, it was set right that I could actually then think, what am I doing here? What's going wrong? Set myself to do it, and then I could progress without having to go and sort of check how to do stuff on YouTube. So yes, I really enjoyed that.
Great. Andy Robertson, thank you so much for your time. It's been enlightening. It's always great to catch up with you, so thank you very much for that. If people want to get a hold of your book, Google it, and the release date for that.
It'll be essentially the first hit on Google.
By Andy Robertson. Make sure that's what you're clicking. And check out your YouTube page and all of your kind of other platforms, which you will see on the page above us. So thank you very much.
Yeah, great. Thank you.